So to kind of speak on the recent elevated trends in people going gluten-free, I definitely don't want to slight that. I think that there is a definite disease, celiac disease, that's associated with a gluten allergy, meaning like if you are diagnosed with celiac disease, you are allergic to gluten. You can also have a gluten intolerance even if you test negative on a celiac test, and those symptoms are very real. I think that there's, if you find that when you eat foods that contain gluten, you have signs and symptoms over and over again, and you see that association, you should certainly go and go to your doctor and have, get tested for celiac disease. There's more information for that on celiac.org that can be helpful in just like the forms of testing and that sort of thing. But to speak about just like the rise in trend that we've all seen in people going gluten-free that aren't allergic or don't have an intolerance to gluten, I think that there's probably two things that can be attributed to this trend. So one would be in 1999, the United States passed a law that said that all grain products and cereals, that sort of thing in the United States that are produced and manufactured in the United States and sold in the United States have to be fortified with folic acid. And that was a way for them to sort of blanket prevent the birth defects that were associated with a folic acid deficiency that was kind of becoming a widespread problem. So what happened with that is that those products got a little bit altered, right? Not a big deal. It was altered for a good reason. The other thing that happened is probably in the last decade we've seen this trend to go towards a high fiber diet or increasing your fiber to either meet or exceed the amounts recommended, right? Which is a great trend. Fiber has a lot of really great properties. Not only does it help with weight loss a little bit, but it also helps to keep the GI tract clean and maintained, kind of gets rid of all the bad stuff that might be just hanging out in the GI tract, and it kind of keeps up with bowel movement regularity, which we see is actually something that should be really focused on from a clinical aspect and just in general. So what those two things did though is instead of people just seeking to get their fiber from whole grain options, and you can also get them from vegetables and things like that, but for some reason, whole grain carbohydrates seem more appealing. I think what people did was instead of switching out their current carbohydrates or their current grains in their diet, just switching in whole grains, they did that and then maybe added to that. So it basically gave people a license to go buck wild on eating carbohydrates, which is completely fine if you need them. But just like any other nutrient, protein, carbohydrate, fat, all the same, if you're eating too much or more than what you need, that could be an issue. So I think what was going on was that people were taking what they thought was a healthy option and really ramping it up past what their needs were.
Thank you for watching A Wise Way. Subscribe to stay updated, share to pass the knowledge, or view our other videos on the left.